Hey friends, a big hello to you all. I'm Sergey, and this is the YouTube channel Assistance TV. In this video, I'll put together some tips for fishing with a spinning rod. If you are an experienced fisherman and you already have a lot of spinning rods and experience behind you, I think these tips will be of no use to you. But if you're a beginner and have just picked up a spinning rod, then these tips are for you. Alright guys, let's get going. Guys, the first tip might seem very simple, but it's really important. Always dress for fishing in a way that keeps you comfortable while spinning. It's a lot of search work. It's about walking around the water body, checking all its shores, looking for fish, searching again, and searching some more. You should be neither too hot nor too cold. Definitely take a hat. Especially if you have a sunny autumn day like mine, because the sun can still be strong in the fall. The guys are very active and can really hit you in the head. And you see I'm squinting all the time, so that doesn't happen to you. I recommend you to buy polarized glasses. All fishermen, spinning anglers, polarized glasses. For some reason, it's not because the sun is shining right into their eyes. No, polarized sunglasses, guys, prevent you from squinting, which makes fishing a lot easier. I want to tell you right away that on those fishing trips where you're wearing polarized sunglasses, it's much easier for you. But you might say, Sergey, I usually wear regular sunglasses and that's fine for me. Yeah. If you don't have polarized sunglasses, you'll be fine. But with polarized ones, you'll see everything in the water, just like right now on the surface. There are a lot of glares here. I want to say that yes, with polarized sunglasses, there are practically no glares, and you can find fish while wearing them. If you're standing by the shore and looking out where there are fish, you'll see everything really well with polarized sunglasses. Guys, all those glares on the water's surface, polarized sunglasses just eliminate them. I bought myself polarized glasses from China. I have a lot of spare lenses there. I like them quite well. There are also enlightened optics and very strong sun protection. So at any time of the day, in any weather, cloudy or sunny, I can choose the right glass for myself. I want to say that's a huge plus, because before I was always squinting while fishing. You know, when you're sitting there, it's uncomfortable to squint, but when you put on your glasses, your facial muscles are constantly relaxed. And at the end of the day, you don't come home all exhausted, but you come home normal with a slight tiredness. Both of them, right? Yes. Oh, beauty, right? Great. Here's another tip for beginner anglers. When I see people at the water, guys are casting their rods, learning, but you can tell right away about the fisherman. You know, it's like he just came for the first time. He's making a big mistake that leads to his reel breaking. We all know that the reels, spinning, good, high quality, are expensive, so we buy average budget ones, right? To make sure it doesn't break, you need to take good care of it and use it properly. It's not a mistake. Let's imagine that they're making a cast and of course the bail is open. They made the cast, and how do they fix it? They then made the cast and immediately start reeling. Oops, the bail is open. They immediately start reeling. Thus, the rotation of the handle returns the coil to its original position. That's the right way, and that's it. Guys, you shouldn't do it like that because there's a gear in there. At that moment, when you do it like this, spontaneous closing, you see this precession doesn't always go well. That's how it breaks down, guys. It starts to wobble. That's right. After casting, you must definitely close the bail of the reel with your hand. So you cast, close the bail with your hand, and then start reeling in. So everything will be soft, everything will be fine, and your reel will serve you for a long time. If you close it like this, like I said, so click. By rotating your coil, it will quickly break much faster than if you close it manually. So friends, do it with your hands, cast, close it, and then start reeling in. Friends, you often ask me where I get my fishing gear. Guys, I use e-catalog. You can find gear based on specifications and choose the best price. Here we have e-catalog. We type fishing in the search. And now I will show you, using the example of reels, how to choose a reel for fishing. Let's choose, for example, the manufacturer Daewoo. The type of reel is a spinning reel. And the spool size is from 3000 to 3500. Let's click show. The service shows us a lot of reels based on the specified parameters. Let's choose the Daewoo Ninja 3000A reel. We see that we have a photo of this coil and a full description. And below there are many stores that can offer it at a better price. As we can see, the prices vary a lot and you can save a good amount. Let's compare this reel with some other one. Here we have the Daiwa Ninja 301 Tua. We click on it and then click add to compare. We click compare. The e-catalog immediately shows us the parameters that differ between these products. We can see that these reels differ in spool capacity and weight. We can also look at all the parameters for these reels. It's very convenient. If you're picking out a product for yourself, guys, the link to the e-catalog will be in the description below this video. My next tip, guys, is about storing your reel, specifically how to store it. We all know that you should wipe the reel after fishing and put it in a place where it can get a little airflow. Wrap it in some cloth to protect it from dust, sand, dirt, and moisture. We haven't come across it, but there is one nuance. We all know what a friction clutch is. The friction clutch is where it tightens on spinning reels. There is a front clutch, there is a rear clutch, a friction clutch. But on spinning reels, the front drag is mainly used because with the front drag, the reel is lighter, it turns out. So friends, this is very important when fishing with a spinning rod. So the friction allows us, we know when a pike bites or a fish, any big one, we just relax. The drag is there to prevent the line from breaking, to soften everything up. We just loosen the clutch and it helps us, it rotates like this. Crackling. To pull out our fish. But after fishing, it's necessary. Guys, you need to loosen the drag. Let it move freely like this. You hear that crackling? It's moving. This is very important because the spring in the drag, even in expensive reels, starts to loosen, stretch, and decompress over time, which is not good. The drag works, and it also affects the gears and the functioning of the reel itself. So during fishing, the drag is definitely important. Tightened and adjusted. How do you need it? So for fishing, you take off the reel and loosen the drag. Everything is very loose for you. Then, on your next fishing trip, you set up your gear, tighten the drag, and start fishing. Here's another tip for storing your reel to make it last as long as possible. Since I've spent so much time talking about reels, friends, I want to tell you how to make your line last even longer, and that's really important. Check the coil when you buy it, how to do it. Look here, where the reel spool is, you just take it with your finger and try it like this. Try it with your finger. To avoid any hangnails here, it's better to do this. Take a cotton swab, go over it with cotton wool and a cotton swab. So, look here to see if there is a burr here. If on some cheap reels there is a burr here, then even on reels, those that are more expensive are mostly defective. Here on the spool, there are, as I say, small burrs. During that time, when your cord is spinning, it is necessary. It will rub against this part and get damaged. The entire line will get damaged. So, this is also very important. Check during the purchase if there are any burrs on the reel right here. Also check the rod guides. When you're buying guides, also make sure to check the guides carefully. Here is each ring. Is there a burr, a small groove? Because it will be very offensive. If you bought a rod and made, 50 casts, and then your expensive line that you bought also got ruined. That's why, guys, they put good branded guides on rods. They take pride in that. These are sure to indicate that this spinning rod has such and such rings. Good ones, anti-tangle ones. So there won't be any defects, none at all. Thank you. This all depends on the manufacturer. But here's my advice for you. Look at the reel, so that there are no burrs anywhere here, not on the wheel. So everywhere the line comes into contact, there shouldn't be any grooves. And also check the guides when buying a rod. Well, I'm releasing it. Go ahead, put it in the water, let it float. Oops, 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 oops. Yes, it hit, guys. The next tip will be about storing your baits, whether it's crankbaits or silicone lures that are in the box. Look, we used to film a little life hack with Diamond about using a rubber band. Here I have this wonderful box for crankbaits. This is what it looks like. It's really cool. The box is really cool. I like everything about it. Everything is great. But I still use a rubber band because these clamps, they are good and reliable. But for some reason, I'm a little afraid for my favorite wobblers. So I recommend securing your crankbait box with a rubber band on top. I also want to recommend you that during autumn, despite the fact that autumn is no longer it's hot. The sun, I say again, is quite active. I recommend that you hide your crankbaits right away, either in your backpack, for example, or cover the box with lures with a cloth. This is especially true. It really affects the box. The fishing box has now stood for several minutes in the sun and has already warmed up. I also have a lot of silicone lures inside. All my supplies, that is, everything I have is stored in this box. And in the summer heat, I had this happen to me once. So from my experience, don't repeat other people's mistakes. Cover the box with a cloth if it's sitting in the sun, cover it with a cloth. If it's in the shade, well, it's better to stand in the shade, but make sure to place it in such a way that the sun won't turn around in half an hour and shine bright rays on it again. Because the temperature gets so high that all the silicone melts and warps. Guys, the same thing can happen with factories. They might not melt, for example, but the varnish, the paint, they will get burned and they will change color. They are affected by a lot of ultraviolet light. So I recommend hiding everything either in your backpack. That's how I do it when I'm fishing, either carrying it on my back or putting it in the boat. Or just cover it with some cloth, even if it's the one you use to wipe your hands after handling fish. Guys, the next tip I want to recommend is to definitely use a no-knot connector when fishing. This is what it looks like. I will now show you everything in detail and show you how to attach it. You might ask, why not just tie it with a knot? This is an extra element without a knot, guys. This is not an extra element, and it is practically not visible there. It will be far from your bait on the length. The leash moves away from you, and any knot reduces the strength of the cord by 20-30%. So if your line is going to break, it will break at the knot. When casting, when you get a bite with a big fish, or if you get snagged, if you pull, the line will break exactly where your knot is. Not at the weakest point, somewhere in the middle, where there are abrasions, but it will break at the knot. To prevent this from happening, and to avoid losing 20% of the line's strength, I recommend you use a no-knot connector and tie your rigs to it. In general, a no-knot connector, a no-knot clasp. This is what it looks like. This is a piece of wire bent cleverly and wisely like this. And here's my leader made of steel wire. One end is sealed, this is what it looks like, and the other end is twisted so that we can attach our lure here. The no-knot connector is threaded onto this end. Thread the connector onto the sealed end like this. So this is what we have now. And now we take the end of our braided line. Here it is. I just fold it in half like this to make a loop and throw it onto the end of our no-knot connector. Next, we perform the following operation. We simply take it and wrap it around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times until we're done. We've reached the end and pushed the end in. Now this loop goes right here. This loop here, both go right here. The line, that's it. Here's the extra end that's flapping around. You see, the long end of the line, short, you can cut it off. If you make steel leaders yourself or bought them and they unravel from both sides, then you can do without the no-knot connector. You can just throw a loop on right here. Whoa. And then just take it and wrap it around these strings. And you'll end up with a no-knot element just like this one. Another tip I want to give to beginner anglers is the use of a leader. Guys, if you're fishing for pike, I recommend using a steel leader. There are a ton of reasons for this. You could even make a separate video about steel leaders, explaining why to use them specifically. So, it's essential to use a leader when fishing for predatory fish. First of all, it's so that if a pike or zander, which are toothy fish, tries to bite, it won't cut through your braided line. This is one. Secondly, guys, you still need a leash. If you are fishing with a wobbler, it is better to use steel. It is a straight leash. It does not interfere with the witching play of the wobbler. If you use wobblers, silicone, then of course you should definitely use silicone. I recommend you fluorocarbon if you are catching pike with a jig. If you're fishing for perch without a fluorocarbon leader in the fall, you will hardly get any bites. There will be very few, just incredibly few. How to assemble a perch rig with fluorocarbon? What diameter and everything else? I'll show you that in the next video, my friends, if you're interested. Right now, I have a fluorocarbon leader with a no-knot connection in my hands. Here's a piece of fluorocarbon and here is a snap with a diameter of 0.5. The maximum you can use is 0.55. If you use thicker fluorocarbon, then its properties, these refractions like water, invisibility, it will start to lose its effectiveness, and there's no point in using anything thicker. Fluorocarbon thicker than 0.55. And one of the most important tips that I always give to all anglers, guys, is related to this. To avoid losing your favorite lure during a powerful cast, make sure to cast it as far as possible. Always keep an eye on the tip of your rod and your line, because lures often get lost due to the angler's inattention, as I mentioned, or it could be something with the line because it wasn't checked in time, or something else. But most often it gets tangled around the top guides, around the tips. Right here, there's a tangle, and you get a tangle. Well, the line is slightly giving, but you hardly feel the tangle. Then during the cast, your line is under a breaking strain and the lure gets shot off. It flies far, far, far away. So guys, always check your cord, whether it has overlapped on the upper rings, because often these overlaps are insidious. The tips break if they are ultralights or some kind of light spinning rods. Well, on powerful spinning rods, like those used for twitching, where you need to twitch lures, lures often just fly off into nowhere and the line just snaps. So make sure to check it. This is how I do it. So I take a look visually to make sure everything is straight and clear before the cast. I put my finger right here, and I just shake it like this. As I wiggle, I see my bait twitching and there is absolutely nothing stopping it. So everything is moving freely. And then we take it and make the cast. Also, you shouldn't reel in the wobbler too close to the tip. Leave it somewhere between 70 centimeters and a meter. Then the lure flies well and nothing will break on you. If you liked everything, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I will definitely make a video about ultralight and give it to you. 10 tips for beginners for ultralight fishing, not just general tips for spinning. So if you liked everything, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and leave a comment. Friends, I hope you enjoyed it all. I wish you all good luck and see you soon.